taste is like BDSM porn. People say that if you watch too much regular porn, you get desensitized, and then you need the weirder stuff. I don't know if that's true. I don't think that's true. I think that's a lie. But anyway, people do say that. Eventually, you get desensitized to the weirder stuff too, and finally you're watching horrible, taboo BDSM snuff porn or something like that. Maybe taste is also like this. You look at the nice, pretty houses on your block until you're bored of the nice, pretty houses, and you want something new and exciting. For a while, you're satisfied with glass boxes until you're bored of glass boxes too. And then you need something more exciting to that. And finally, you're masturbating to buildings made of jarring colors, metallic blobs that look like Cthulhu might emerge from them at any moment. I'm deliberately choosing a negative example to counteract everyone who thinks that it's artificially positive, to have a sophisticated person who has taste is better than everybody else and everybody else is kitsch, A scrupulously fair treatment would just admit that there's different art for different groups. Maybe on one street, you could have the kind of building that someone who studied architecture for less than a year would like. And on some other street, you'd have the kind of building that someone who studied architecture for between 10 and 20 years would like. And then everyone gets a street full of buildings that they like. Okay, so that idea, I like this idea already, but there are differences. The person who is untrained and the person who is trained, I'm just going to, there's a possibility that the person who is untrained has a narrow range of things that they can do, and the person who is trained has a much wider range of things that they can do, right? The person who is not trained in physics can only make a certain range of things. Like technologically, they only have access to a certain range of things that they can make. Okay, a person who is trained in classical physics, modern physics, relativistic physics, quantum mechanics, engineering, they have a wider range of things that they can make. That is legitimate progress. That's like legit progress here. Now, there is just the fact that you could say that the untrained person can make a certain range of things, and it's good, and they can appreciate those, and that's great. But the trained person can make way more and better, and they're more stable, and they can cause transformations in the world, and that is an objective difference. Similarly, a person doing cave paintings, I don't even know what type of pigments they were using with cave paintings. Like, if you are at the level of progress where you're making cave paintings with like the primitive pigments, you only have a certain narrow range of possibilities. And then if you can make paintings on canvas with modern paint and even use, paint brushes and so on, watercolor, charcoal, you can do mixed media. If you can do all that, you have an infinite world, like many different infinity worlds of types of variations and differences that you can do that are stable, that are replicable, that are noticeable patterns, and they can also be improved upon even further, right? There's this like sort of cascading infinite progress that's possible with the modern technologies that we have in terms of painting on canvas, painting with a paintbrush, using different materials and so on. Totally different from a primitive pigments needing to be painted on caves. They don't even have lighting, I guess. So you have like this narrow range of places where you can even paint. Okay, you get what I'm saying here? There is an objective difference between these two. Now you might just say, okay, there are certain people who like cave paintings and there are certain people who like modern painting. Yes, there are certain people who by which they can appreciate the cave paintings, and it's good that they like those things and let them have it. But there is an objective difference between the knowledge that is embodied in cave paintings and required to create cave paintings and the knowledge that is embodied in modern works of art and required to make modern works of art. They are objectively different. In this case, still, everyone can have what they like. Totally fine. Everyone can have what they like, but we can also identify some things are better.